So, we're swimming in information every single day, right? It's just constantly coming at us.
Absolutely. From everywhere. Apps, articles.
Exactly. Apps on our phones, stuff we read, reports at work. And we often just assume, that this information is neutral, like just the facts.
Right. Just objective data.
But what if the way it's presented, even when it seems purely factual, like in technical communication, what if it has these hidden ethical things going on?
Mm-hmm. Because technical communication, it's not just about tech. It's deeply, deeply intertwined with real people, with politics, with social conditions.
Yeah. So today we're doing a deep dive into that, recognizing ethical issues, specifically in technical communication. We've got some really great source material to work with.
Really insightful stuff.
It helps us understand these tricky dilemmas,
Yeah.
and how workplace pressures, the real day-to-day stuff, can actually compromise ethics.
Yeah, the pressures are key.
And we'll break down the specific kinds of ethical abuses, the things to really watch out for. Think of it as like a shortcut to becoming a more discerning consumer and maybe creator of information.
That's a good way to put it.
We're going to unpack why balancing, let's say, efficiency and making money with what's actually better for people and society. Why that's such a constant challenge. It can be uncomfortable.
And what's really fascinating here, I think, is that these ethical decisions, they're hardly ever black and white, are they?
Not at all.
They involve so many considerations. Everything from the impact on one single user, right, to the potential of, well, losing your job or facing backlash from your colleagues if you speak up.
Serious stakes.
Yeah, we'll definitely explore those complexities.
Okay, let's unpack that first idea more. Our source material really kicks off with this powerful point. Technical communication isn't just relaying facts. It lives inside this world of human beings, politics, social conditions. So what does that actually mean for the ethical choices we make?
Well, it immediately raises that big question, doesn't it? How do we balance the drive for solutions that are efficient and profitable, which companies obviously want,
Sure, that's the good.
with the need, the ethical need, to do what's right for individuals, right for society overall? The core challenge is just recognizing that every single decision, big or small, it carries some ethical weight. Consider the scenario that the sources bring up about, like a smartphone map app or a GPS app.
Okay, yeah, we all use those.
Right. It automatically collects your location data. And the default setting for that feature, it's on. You don't choose for it to be on. It just is on when you start.
Okay, so what's the takeaway there for you, the person using the app? You download it, you get where you need to go, it's convenient. But behind the scenes.
Exactly. Behind the scenes, there's a team, right, making very specific decisions about collecting your data and deciding whether to make it easy or maybe not so easy for you to turn that off.
Right. The opt-out.
Yeah. The source points out that, sure, there might be a legal one-page document somewhere about customer privacy.
Buried somewhere, usually.
Probably. Yeah. But the technical writer, the person actually communicating this, they might choose to de-emphasize that data collection feature. Maybe use a really small font or bury the opt-out deep in some settings menu.
So it's not just about the tech itself, but how it's communicated.
Precisely. This example just immediately shows that tension between convenience, which we all want, profitability for the company, and, well, your fundamental privacy.
And it's definitely not just map apps, is it? The source material really shows that these ethical communication issues, they pop up everywhere, pretty much all areas of science and tech.
Oh, yeah.
What are some of the maybe less obvious fields where we see these ethical dilemmas playing out?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, yeah, ethical considerations are pervasive. They're everywhere. Take medical technologies, for instance. Issues of personal privacy, medical insurance connections.
Yeah.
They come up all the time with things like genetic testing. Who owns your genetic data? Who gets to see it? Huge ethical questions.
Absolutely.
Or think about banking and retail. How our personal information, our financial data is collected, how it's stored, who can access it.
Yeah.
That was a massive ethical concern for consumers.
Definitely keeps me up sometimes.
And then there's environmental pollutants. When we discuss things like pesticides or emissions from factories, smokestack output, you're immediately into serious ethical questions about the long-term health of the planet for everyone.
And the source gives us a really concrete example, doesn't it? That memo from David Mickham about the medical history cards, MHCs.
Ah, yes, the MAC memo. That's a great illustration.
So this memo goes out to all employees introducing these new cards, MHCs, that require people to provide personal medical data for a health benefits program.
Sounds reasonable on the surface.
It does. It says the MHCs ensure safe and efficient healthcare, and they'll instantly provide medical personnel with personalized medical data. Seems
Mm.
logical.
But the devil's in the details, as they say. What's fascinating there is how it's phrased. The memo mentions the info will be encrypted. Okay, that sounds good, secure.
Yeah, encryption sounds safe.
But then, almost buried, it adds that third parties have access to this information. And the source explicitly notes that, kind of omitting the full implications of that third-party access,
Yeah,
it makes the memo misleading.
even though it sounds reasonable overall.
Exactly. Even though it sounds reasonable, it just perfectly highlights that tension, that tightrope walk between giving necessary info for care versus genuinely protecting personal data. Especially when third parties get involved, it makes you ask, what does confidential really mean in that context?
Transparency is key then. Which brings us to a really interesting point. We sort of get what ethical dilemmas are now and where they show up. But why? Why do people, who are probably mostly well-intentioned, end up compromising their ethical values? Our source really digs into these workplace pressures.
This is crucial because the ethical values in a workplace, they don't usually break down because people are fundamentally dishonest. It's often because they face just immense pressure.
Like what kind of pressure?
Well, think about tight deadlines,
Mhm.
right? Aggressive sales targets.
Right.
Or just the basic fear of punishment, of getting fired. Sometimes people feel they have to say or do what they think others expect,
Even if it means bending the truth a bit.
or even suppressing bad news, downplaying negative findings.
Yeah.
The source actually has this diagram showing how all these different pressures can influence or maybe warp a writer's ethical compass.
And these pressures, they sound familiar, don't they? Things like just do or say whatever it takes to get the job done, or can you rework these findings, make them sound a bit better?
Oh, yeah. Or the pressure to be a team player, which often means just going along with things.
Right. Or that fear, this mistake, if it gets out, it'll cost us a fortune. That's a big one.
Huge. And then there were the really chilling ones, like, we didn't have this conversation, or the classic, don't put it in writing.
Wow. So what does this mean for someone just trying to do the right thing when they're under that kind of pressure?
Well, it highlights that it's not always about bad intent, is it? It's often about really difficult circumstances making the ethical choice incredibly hard.
Okay, so building on those pressures, the source material outlines several major types of unethical communication. It calls them abuses, basically common ways ethics get compromised in the workplace. Let's unpack these so you can spot them.
Yeah, definitely good to know these. And connecting this to the bigger picture, these aren't just, theoretical ideas. They are real challenges in how information gets made and shared every day.
So what's the first one?
Plagiarizing the work of others. This is pretty basic, right?
Mhm.
Using someone else's work as your own, not giving credit.
Mm-hmm.
But it could be subtle, even in collaborative settings.
Okay, what else?
Falsifying or fabricating information. This is outright making stuff up or distorting data, like faking production results, tweaking research findings, exaggerating how well a new medical device works, usually to get a specific outcome they want.
Right. Cooking the books, basically.
Pretty much. Then there's suppressing or downplaying information. This is about holding back stuff that the audience really needs to know. Critical safety hazards, maybe? Or
Mhm.
important study findings that don't fit the narrative.
Hiding the bad news.
Exactly. And conversely, exaggerating claims, making promises about products or services that just aren't realistic, presenting an overly rosy picture, misleading sales figures. You see this a lot with, say, bioengineered foods or big defense contracts.
Okay, keep going. This is a useful list.
Then there's using visual images that conceal the truth, manipulating photos, charts, graphics to misrepresent reality,
Mm,
like showing a product looking better or bigger than it is, or making a graph that hides a downward trend.
visual tricks. Got it.
Also, stealing or divulging proprietary information. This is giving away trade secrets, intellectual property, confidential company stuff like customer lists or designs.
Big breach of trust there.
Huge. And relatedly, misusing electronic information. This is about improperly handling personal data held in databases, schools, governments, companies.
Mhm.
Often it's about not having clear privacy policies or not following them.
Data privacy again. It keeps coming up.
It's central. And finally, exploiting cultural differences. This is manipulating or deceiving people or groups from different cultural backgrounds,
Mm.
maybe using someone's limited English skills to your advantage in a contract, for example.
Wow. That list really shows how many ways, subtle or not, information can be twisted or misused. So what can we actually do about it? How do we avoid these pitfalls So what does this all mean for you if you're trying to navigate these situations?
Thankfully, our source offers some clear strategies, right? And even a checklist to help avoid these ethical problems.
Yeah, it's not just about identifying problems, it's about being proactive. The source gives some really critical strategies. First, always cite your sources. Seems basic, but it avoids plagiarism and builds trust.
Okay, fundamental.
Then, it's crucial to give the audience everything it needs to know, especially when it comes to things like privacy and data sharing. Be fully transparent.
No hiding the ball.
Right. You also must give people a clear understanding of what the information means. Avoid jargon where possible. Don't be ambiguous if clarity is needed. And fundamentally, never manipulate information or data. No exaggeration, no understatement, no leaving critical stuff out.
So it goes beyond just not manipulating, right? What are the sort of positive actions we should be taking? Absolutely. You need to actively follow your company's confidentiality guidelines. That's usually pretty clear-cut. It's also vital not to exploit cultural inequalities or try to manipulate international readers by playing on language or cultural differences.
Be fair across the board.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And here's a powerful internal check, kind of a gut check. Constantly ask yourself, would I stand behind what I have created if I were held publicly accountable for it?
Ooh, that's a good one. Puts it in perspective.
It really does. And lastly, consult ethical guidelines from professional organizations. Like the American Medical Writers Association has a code of ethics. It emphasizes objectivity, accuracy, clarity, completeness, confidentiality, avoiding conflicts of interest. These principles apply pretty broadly.
That's a solid set of strategies.
Yep.
But the source also gives us that practical checklist for ethical communication, which I really like. It's like a quick mental scan you can do.
Yeah, it's super handy.
You just run through questions like, is this document or communication accurate and fair? Is it actually legal? Does it stick to privacy standards? Have I done my research properly and avoided distortion, even subtle distortion?
Mm-hmm. And will the audience clearly get what I'm saying? Is it unambiguous?
Right. And maybe crucially, have I informed everyone who needs to be informed, all the relevant parties? It just helps you step back and critically look at your own work or even information you're receiving.
It's a great tool for that self-assessment.
Okay, so let's bring this home. What does this all mean for you in your daily life? Whether you're prepping for a meeting, reading the news, maybe just scrolling through social media, how do we apply these ethical lenses practically?
Well, these principles aren't abstract at all. They apply in so many contexts you encounter every day. I mean, in general applications, you can just use these frameworks to analyze ethical situations you see in your own professional communications, or even in ads you see, right?
Yeah, dissecting how things are presented.
Exactly. For team applications, think about working on a group project. Maybe a report where the data doesn't look great.
Okay.
An ethical issue comes up. If someone suggests, let's just tweak these numbers a bit, or let's not highlight that negative trend, understanding these ethics helps you speak up for honesty, helps you spot when data is being maybe massaged or suppressed, even subtly.
Being the ethical voice in the room, potentially. And you mentioned earlier, globally, the stakes get even higher, don't they?
Oh, absolutely.
No.
In global applications, you can run into really complex ethical stuff. Things like counterfeiting products across borders, intellectual property, piracy, or just navigating those deep cultural differences in communication that unfortunately can be exploited.
Right.
It really emphasizes why you need to understand potential economic, social, political disadvantages that might lead someone to, say, duplicate a product without authorization, or how communication styles differ.
And finally, digital and social media. This seems incredibly relevant there.
Hugely relevant. I mean, from thinking about how to create ethical posts on Facebook or Twitter, avoiding misinformation, being transparent, to ensuring your professional communication on LinkedIn is honest and clear. These principles are your guide. They help you navigate that potential for misleading content and understand the real ethical consequences of what you share online. It's so easy to share something without thinking it through.
It really does highlight how ethics isn't just some side issue. It's like foundational to our whole interconnected information world. Touches everything. Wow. What an incredible deep dive that was into this often invisible world of ethics in technical communication. We've gone from just understanding the basic dilemmas,
It's the core tensions.
right, to pinpointing specific abuses, the things to watch out for, and maybe most importantly, arming ourselves with strategies and that checklist to communicate more ethically.
Yeah, and I think the core takeaway here is just crystal clear.
Yeah.
Technical communication, or really any communication presenting information, it's never truly neutral. It always carries ethical weight. It's influenced by human factors, by those workplace pressures we talked about, by the broader societal values we all operate within. And understanding that dynamic, that interplay between information and intent, it's just crucial for being responsible creators and consumers of information.
So, what does this all mean for you? As you navigate your day, that constant stream of information, articles, apps, reports, social media posts, we want to leave you with the challenge, a thought to mull over.
Mm.
What's one small, concrete way you can start applying these ethical lenses? Maybe to your own digital footprint, or just to the information you choose to share with others, starting today. What responsibilities do we all share in this incredibly complex, interconnected world of information, where even a seemingly small choice about how something is worded or presented can have significant ripple effects?